the silver ball is so precious because it's the pinnacle of Glamorgan rugby. Everyone wants to win that trophy. You know you are the best in this area.
I think it's a great competition, and it always has been. And it's we consider, perhaps very wrongly, this is a spiritual home of silver ball.
Yeah, it goes without saying, you know, league promotion in terms of sustainability as a club and funding is your bread and butter. But that's the trophy they want.
We always knew the silver ball. And was it 200 or 300 clubs, second-class clubs, and that was the ultimate. The silver ball. You could win your district cup, but the silver ball, you were the best.
What I realised in one game at the Brewery Field, I was asked to carry the trophy down to the field for presentation. And what blew me away was not just children, adults, ex-players, internationals, committee wanted to touch that trophy.
The silver ball, for us as a club, and I think Welsh community club rugby as a whole, is such a special competition.
Everybody was talking about it at the village, like, you know, silver ball, like, you know, you couldn't wait for it, like, you know, because we won it early on in 1960, and we went on to win it five times, I believe. And, you know, I think everyone is looking forward to having to go to it again, like.
I joined the committee about 5 years before, and I was immediately struck by the sort of fixation they had on the silver ball, which in reality was the only competition we could have won. It was the silver ball that we wanted most of all.
Di McGrath took me to one side because I was captain at the time as well, and took me to one side and he said, "Rich, you will not know a feeling like it if you win the silver ball." And he was totally right. And to pick that up, it was absolutely phenomenal. I get emotional, bloody hell.
That's what makes it such a great competition as well, is that you just don't know. You know, you can prepare for league games because you do your homework, but then for a quarter-final or a semi-final, you know, you might know very little about them as well. So.
I'm very proud, and every Ingleaf is proud, the fact that, you know, we're the only side that's ever won it 5 times, and we won it all through the 60s, and then 50 years later we started winning it again. So we have a deep affection for the silver ball in Ingleaf. It's a great competition, and I hope it goes from strength to strength.
I'm here at my local rugby club, Taffswell, just north of Cardiff. The team that played here in 1974-1975 is still revered as one of the greatest teams that the club has ever had in its history. Why? Because that team won the Glamorgan County Silver Ball. The Glamorgan County Silver Ball started in 1957, one of the premier competitions for clubs in the Glamorgan area. A fabulous trophy to win, very prestigious trophy to win. It really was, and still is, the competition to win. Well, don't take my word for it. Listen to some of these former players. We've been around various clubs in South Wales, clubs that have actually won the silver ball, to speak to some of the former players who actually played in the competition and won the competition.
When we first entered the competition, we were lucky enough to get through and win it, and we won it 3 years in succession, which was quite an achievement.
For a village so small, it's quite an achievement, isn't it? So yeah, great memories. So we have a couple of reunions and get a couple of the old boys back whenever we can. No doubt there'll be another couple on the horizon. So yeah, great.
Very prestigious trophy. It's one we'd been successful for a couple of years, and it was definitely a trophy our coaches Mark Harris and Stephen Bayliss targeted. We had some tough quarterfinals, semi-finals over a couple of years, but to win it that year, very, very special. Not just the final, but the other games as well, you know what I mean? Great games and very competitive and very, very excited to win it.
The team that won the silver ball, the core of the team were getting on a bit. They've been trying for years. They retired within 2 or 3 years. They'd all gone. So the next lot came up then, living in the shadows as these guys. And that's all to get in a bar then. That wouldn't have happened in 1982 and things like that. And they had to live up to that, subsequent teams did. And I'm glad that they did in the end, and they proved themselves in a few years later on.
Match day. We turned up here early, I think it was about 11:30 meet, and it was just a weird atmosphere in the air, you could feel it. We went up there, we had easily 8, maybe 10 bus loads of people going up there, I was out there, the people going up there. We just had a phenomenal team. It was just, they clicked that day. When our final whistle went, never felt anything like it. It was better than winning the league, which we wanted to do. That was our main aim of the season, but wow.
Dave McGrath, who played the wing forward in the first silver ball win, he coached those boys. Him and John Rees, and John Rees was the outside half and well, we won it the first time, so there was a link there. The game had changed a lot then. It was a lot better game to look at. But, they were both great days for the club, and I can't see anybody forgetting them days.
It's true, you know, what some of the other guys have said here tonight now with Phil and Rich, that the 2009 squad did very much sort of live in the shadow of 82 for quite some years, and the fact that their coach Gus as well was part of that side, you know, and they'd hear my Uncle Dennis, they'd hear the likes of Alan Whitlock and Len Ford being spoken about, you know, with such reverence within the club, and to emulate that then in 2009 was just a remarkable achievement.
I just remember after the game, just going around the crowd, clapping them for their support. I think 2 hours later, I finally went for a shower. It was that overwhelming, you couldn't just come down from it. It was such an euphoria. I remember absolutely one of the best weekends of my life.
I can remember being there in Llanharan, gorgeous day. I was one of the 10 bus loads or so that went up. You'd see the players just elevated and lifted every time a break was made or a big tackle was made, and the crowd and the noise that they would make would lift them, and then at the final whistle then the cheer, and you know, we all gathered around the boys and Richie as he lifted the trophy, and everyone was singing come all without, come all within, you ain't seen nothing like the mighty Quins. And back at the clubhouse, I've never seen anything like it, and that'll live with me for the rest of my time.
The club I've never seen it so busy. Came in here, as we walked in, everyone stand up, clapping. The feeling was absolutely amazing. Came in here on a Sunday then, and exactly the same again as we walked in. Didn't put a hand in the pocket for a month, I think. It was just absolutely phenomenal. I will never forget it. Simple as that.
That's the silver ball tie. You see on there, silver ball, E for East District, we won that as well.
Obviously my stake in the final, they turned up with the champagne and get the blaster going. They thought it was theirs in the bank, and that just spurred us on a little bit. There was only adulterers and burglars left in Banman, so the crowd was shouting us on and got behind us, and we had a fantastic start, and I managed to do what they weren't expecting of us. So yeah, very, very special day. So.
That team and the silver ball more or less stuck together for 20, 30 years. There's a bond that you get actually when you play that long together, you know, that you're always on tours together and meeting each other.
Even now I still believe that the silver ball competition is the one to win in South Wales. I was lucky enough to be have a winner's trophy back in 1975. We'd had a sneaky look at Pyle and we knew we had our hands full. Both teams had loosehead props who went on to play for Wales. Ian Stevens, my loosehead, John Richardson,
for Pyle, big players, strong players. The first scrum, as they went down, the Pyle front row, on prop in particular, made a terrible mistake. He punched our captain, and that led to 3 or 4 retaliatory punches and one from the wing forward. In other words, he was more or less being told, you haven't got an easy game here today. And I thought to myself, this is not going to be easy. And it wasn't.
We had plenty of characters. I mean, we've mentioned Ian Stevens, who went on to play for Wales and British Lions. Some of us are still together. We still go away every year.
I remember the last scrum and the last kick of the game. I had to put the ball in the scrum and I had to make sure it got into touch. And the relief I felt when it did go into touch. And I know then we'd won.
The final was attended by thousands, and it was a heck of a competition to win. All the sides in Glamorgan, and then of course we didn't have regions, man. We didn't have the Premiership and all that. So the standard then, if I may say, was very, very much higher than it is now. And to win that was a remarkable, and to do it so many times in the 60s was brilliant.
Within 30 minutes of a final whistle, you were in the bar and a concert was on, home and away, and it was so much fun. Everyone loved it. Even training nights were fun, There were so many characters there, and yeah, great times.
And the man mainly responsible for keeping this competition going is Howard Jones, a wonderful rugby man who's been involved with Glamorgan County for many years, served on the committee of Pencoed and Heola Q, a fabulous club rugby man, a fabulous Welsh club rugby man.
The silver ball has become very, very important to quite a few clubs. My State Quins, when they won it, the chairman's remarks, what it has done today is brought people out from the skirting boards, people we haven't seen in a decade or more. Another team that won it remarked, the cheque you've given us today have paid for all our buses for the season. And others had paid for the overheads, heating, lighting, etc. It is a big thing for them, and to give the cheque on the night, you can see the excitement in them building up. We receive sponsorship wherever we can. We've had different sponsors. We've been very, very lucky with Coors Brewery, Courage Brewery, Heineken Brewery, and then more recently High Motive, and at present Chemical Corporation, and we're very, very appreciative of whatever we can sponsorship. And as everybody knows, common knowledge now, every penny after expenses is paid back out. And for the last almost decade, I'm pleased to say that the winners have had 5,000, runners up 2.5. Semi-finalists, roughly anything between 1,000 and 1,500, according to Gates. And the quarterfinals, as soon as you kick that ball, you've got £500 in your coffers. So I think it's very successful, and hopefully we go from strength to strength.
The first winners in 1957 were Ty Bach RFC from Port Talbot. But even now, 60 odd years later, this competition continues to be one of the major trophies to be competed for amongst clubs in South Wales. Of course, these days, competitions can't exist on their own. They need financial help. So if there's anyone there who feels they'd like to sponsor or get involved in some way in helping the Glamorgan County Silver Ball to reach the next 60 odd years, you'd be very welcome.
Welsh rugby is suffering at club level. We've had sustained success at international level. Forget about the regions, I don't even want to talk about the regions. But club rugby is and has been on a bit of a decline. The onus and responsibility should be, and in my opinion, has to be, on not just the executive board of the WRU, but certainly the elected members. You know, those people are put in a privileged position by us member clubs to serve the best interests of the clubs, and do they? You know, sometimes that's questionable. I think what the Silver Ball is a competition, and what Glamorgan County are a shining example at showing, is how to champion the club game around Wales, and that is why that trophy there is so special to so many clubs, and why people will speak about it, not just players who've won it or competed in it, but committee men, volunteers, supporters will speak so highly about that competition because of what Glamorgan County have done to aspire to promote and champion the community game in Wales. You know, they're talking the oldest, certainly the oldest grassroots competition I think in Wales, possibly in the world, and that's why long may it continue.
On a personal note, I have lived it, I have breathed it for 20 odd years, since 1996. It has been everywhere with me, and I've had fun, because when I phone a club secretary and his wife will say, who will I say rung? Howard Silver Ball, no S on the end. And of course it brings a chuckle. Mr. Roy Noble, I was invited to a function in the hotel in Cardiff one evening, and I walked down the stairs and walked in, and he turned and he said, Mr. Silver Ball has arrived. And it stuck for many years. But of course it's the people before me from 1955 on that made it all possible. And I'm looking now to have a bit of rest. I did make a quote many years ago that I would not go like my predecessor to the age of 80, but I got a couple of months to go. And hopefully I've got somebody in the shadows who will step into the breach and hopefully take it forward. But I am looking for a younger committee at all times, and perhaps new ideas, fresh ideas.
Can I also say, on behalf of Glenith, we respect all the work that Howard has done as president of Glamorgan County, and he'll be irreplaceable. People give him the absolute salt of the earth of rugby and grassroots rugby in Wales, and we're proud to be part of that, part of the history of Glamorgan Silver Ball.